So welcome everybody to the Online on the Land project. This is the first session and we are super excited to have everybody here with us today. So my name is Julia Coleman and I am a 25-year-old Algonquin Anicinabe ikwe from Temiskaming. My First Nation is Wolf Lake, also known as Mahigan Sagaigan, and I am super excited to see so many faces here today to partake in this. And now I would like to take this opportunity to hear back from our youth participants. They would like to introduce themselves and maybe talk about where you're signing in from. That would be lovely. So I will leave it to our participants. All right. Well, I see we have a shy bunch, and that's okay. So we will continue on, but thank you all for joining us, and let's proceed. So we're going to talk a little bit about the project. So this Online on the Land project is a 7-week hybrid series that we created full of online cultural activities. And these are going to be provided by elders and traditional knowledge holders, as well as some in-person instructions on how to harvest materials respectfully from the land. And the purpose of this project was really to provide a safe space for Indigenous youth to learn these teachings, as well as, sorry. We also opened it up to other people, and that was just so that we could have different age groups come and support the youth while they're learning through the project, and also to provide that information to people who may not have had these teachings in the past. So really, it's to get your hands on some of these on the land materials and to further that education in our cultural teachings. So on our team have Elder H. Neil Maneg from Chimnasing First Nation. He is our elder support, so he provided guidance in the early stages of this project and throughout. And he unfortunately could not be here today, but you will see him in future workshops. He is doing our hand drum teaching workshop, which is our 3rd session, and he's also going to be doing our smudge kit and medicine bag workshop, which is our final session. So you'll get to know him soon. He's a very funny guy and he will get you guys laughing. And then there's me, the program lead. So I'm from Mahigan Sagaigan. And then we have our mentor. So she is our support for myself as I'm going through this project, Joey Lynn Wabi, who is also online today. You'll probably see her face pop up. And she is also from Mahigan Sagaigan. And we would like to take a moment to show some appreciation to our funder, the Ontario Indigenous Youth Partnership Project. So we have been in contact with them, I believe, since May. We received funding in early July, and we have been working closely with the youth advisors to make sure that we're going about this project in the right way. And they've been super wonderful, and every year they have this funding opportunity. So in the future, if you're looking to provide something like this in your community, feel free to go check out their page. It's oiypp.ca, the oip.ca. I will also link that into the chat as well. So thank you to them. And Today is our first session, so we're going to be talking about birch bark harvesting, and we're also going to be making some birch bark baskets. And our facilitator for that today is Shannon Chief. So we'll have her come out in a minute and start the facilitation. But just before we let Shannon take over, I just wanted to give a heads up about our next session, which will be next Friday at noon. It'll be blueberry picking and some berry teachings from Coca Mary Elliott. So that'll be next week. And with that, I will let Shannon start off the workshop. So thank you everybody for listening, and hello, Shannon.
Hi, Julia. Before I start, can you send me a link on my Gmail? Because I'll have to use my laptop for this one. I don't have a cell phone holder. So. To introduce myself, ikwe, my name is Shannon Chief. I am from the Anicinabe Algonquin Anicinabe. I was raised in Birch, and I was also raised on the land where we have family territory surrounding our communities. And my family comes from Birch. I have relatives in Long Point First Nation, from where that is from, and then from there it's pretty much everywhere. When I first learned how to make the birch bark basket, I must have been around 11. I was going to school in Rapid Lake for Birch Lake people. And the school organized for us to go see an elder in the community. And she taught us how to make birch bark basket as a group. And I still have the basket that I made from that time. Mind you, the way we make birch bark basket does not take an hour or two. And this is how the first one came out. You can see that. So this is how they made our traditional baskets more of our style. But this fold, I won't be making this kind today because it's going to take long, like a couple of days to make this.
Jen, you're cutting in and out. You're staticky, and so I know you mentioned you're going to go on your laptop.
Yep.
Okay. So while she is preparing to go on her laptop, maybe we can just have a little discussion about, who has made a birch bark basket before, and if they're familiar with them at all. I know there was Dawn C had said it was a beautiful basket, and Shan Powell said it's so pretty. And then just a little bit of static. There's lots of talk about staticky voice, which we're addressing. And also that Miss Kettle and Stony Point Junior Jalen Wolf says hi, so that's nice. So miigwech for that. Julia, have you ever made a birch bark basket before?
I made my first birch bark basket when I was 13, I believe. I was 13. It was a part of my berry fast when I was young. So berry fast is a rite of passage in our culture, and I believe we'll be talking more about that next week, so I won't talk about it too much. But when a woman begins her first menstruation, which we refer to as moon time, it's when she's becoming a woman. So there's a bunch of different things that happen. There's a seclusion period where she can be by herself and really learn how her body works in terms of her moon time. And during that first moon time, there are women that come in and provide teachings on women's roles. And during that time, the youth is often left to do some handicrafts. Like I made myself a bag for my dishes that I had to carry. And I also made a birch bark basket to hold my berries. So the year when I came out after, I needed to make a birch bark basket to hold the berries that I had harvested in the summer. And that was the first time that I made it, and I had no facilitator to really teach me. So I'm really excited to actually partake in this workshop as well, to see how to refine my skills, I guess. But it was a fun learning experience, and I've still made quite a few in the meantime. And I look forward to making more in the future. It's relaxing and a little fun with the troubleshooting. It can get a little frustrating at times, but that's when you take a break. You take some deep breaths, you put your project aside and, you know, go for a walk or read a book. Because when you're doing these projects, make sure that you're in a good mindset and going about it in the right way. Yeah,
for sure. I know here in the chat, Melissa MT has said that she hasn't ever made a birch bark, but she's from Six Nations, which is awesome. So welcome. And then we also have someone that says, first one, Ani. So Ani. And then Teresa Marie Gagne says that she's made a small birch bark basket last year, but it was heated. So that's different. That's awesome. Maybe she can give us some tips after also. That'd be cool. Miigwech, Teresa. Letitia says her husband makes them, but it's different. So yeah, definitely. It's going to be different from nation to nation and place to place. Kara says Chacon. This is our first one, and they're from Wata. So I believe that's down south from where we're at, up north. So I think I actually go through there when I go to Toronto. So see, this is Wata, Mohawk territory, I believe. So yeah, miigwech.
Haudenosaunee is up in here. I like it.
Awesome. And then Nathan says he made one as a child with the roots, but it's been a while, so this is great. Yeah, definitely. It'll make you kind of reminisce about the one that you made when you were a child. So that's amazing. And Anita wants
Nikita, who hasn't made one, but she is also from Six Nations.
Oh, cool. Look at this. And Missy Petoski has said she made one 2 weeks ago. Anita wants to see the basket again to see what we'll be making. Rosetta made a few before. She's from Wickwimcong. I actually just passed by there when I'm in South Bay right now, South Baymouth at camping. So yeah, so anyway, back to you, Julia.
All right. I believe Shannon is still getting a couple things prepared. I'm not sure, but Shan, if you don't have a large square, you can try to make a smaller one using the square that you do have. The bigger pieces just make it easier to manipulate. If you get a bigger piece, that would be great, but feel free to follow along with what you have. And we'll move forward. Are you ready, Shannon? Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me very well? It's not staticky or anything?
Nope, sounds very clear.
All right. So there are a few kinds of a few things that I want to go through before I start making something. Usually when we get the birch bark, we prefer to get birch bark that is very thick like this. It's very, very hard to work with. This is why you need like a few days or up to a week to kind of take your time making them so you don't break them apart as well when you start making the roots. If you're going too fast, then it doesn't come out very well or strong. So these are the very thick ones that we usually do. So during this workshop, you can just kind of take note and just kind of like see how I'm doing about things, and you can prepare the things as you're going through. And then in your own time, you can just kind of like start making your birch bark basket by seeing how it's done. Uh, like I said, I made my first basket when I was about 11 years old through the school that I was going to back in Rapid Lake. Our styles is like this, really. It's all full of roots in back here. And this took us about a whole week. A couple of hours during the day, we'd go to this lady's, this Kokomo's basement, and they taught us how to do step by step, and it went very, very well. I can't believe that I still have this, and the way that we sew everything on the back is like so, where it's it's kind of designed in a way where you have to teach this in person. It's kind of a little complicated, but it comes out really, really nice after. So these are the kinds that our people make. I have a few other models here that we have. This one is my son's. It's like a very oval shape, and it has like it's just like using work roots going around like this with the scissors all the way around, but you put like a piece of branch all around here. And that's the kind we're going to make today because of the timing that we have. My mother made this one. I love the way that she has her roots. It goes in 2 by 2, and then she goes into another one, goes around again, then goes to another one, goes around here. So it comes out really, really nice. And for the frame on top, she used a piece of birch bark, just cut out like that, and that's what we're going to try to teach you how to do here. Or you can use a piece of root or a piece of branch. Those are the things that you can work on. This one I made put a few years back and it's still in very, very good shape. I use a root going around here, a piece of root, and then I got the roots after I split them apart and boiled them. And I had just sewn it around. Comes with a cover, and we'll teach you how to put all your pieces together and how to put the covers at the end of the workshop. Last night I had to boil my roots ahead. So I picked them up. Julia mentioned that I should talk about the roots, how to harvest roots. We have like so much jack pine because of this plantation that they did from forestry cuts near our camp. So it was easy to just to get the jack pine roots for now. Of course, you always have to put the tobacco down to ask for your to ask to use the roots and so on. So I get these little shovels that look like big and they're very narrow like that. Those work very well once you start digging out the roots. I just get them at the dollar store, and you can use those little forks that looks like this for gardening. It looks like a fork that's bended. That works once you start picking up the roots and trying to find them. So once you find one root and you start digging them all out, you'll find them all connected in very different ways, and that's where you start digging around, and you'll find enough from one tree just to make one basket. And so once I was pulling all the roots, they come out looking like this. A lot of these little twigs, you'll have to like use a knife and just go cut them apart, take them off like that. You have to be very careful when using a knife. That's why you're asked to take your time when you make something using knives. In our traditional Pike Constitution, the knife represents our education. So when you think about the times back then, we didn't have schools, we didn't have all these things that we were raised to know today. So we taught everybody what we knew out on the land. Like the women would teach the women how to skin, how to prepare hides, how to prepare clothing, how to get the threads that we used long ago using like skins, the sinews, and then getting the needles. So the knife taught us everything that we needed to do to take care of our homes, our clothing, our medicines, everything. So that kind of symbolizes what education is to us in our curriculum that we have made.
Angel posted that picture. I sent her the picture I took of her sitting on the table yesterday. She just posted it. She looks like a little elf there.
So that's what to clean the roots, just kind of take it all off like that. Every little part that connects to the roots, just take it all, clean it all up. And then once you get to here, you're gonna use a knife here to kind of just put it right in half. If it's a thick root, then you'll have to like go through it very slowly to put it into equal lengths. So once you got that split open like that, then you can just kind of split a little bit like that, a little bit half by half. But you gotta watch it, like once you go all the way down, you have to see that, make sure that it doesn't thin out on one side. So that's why you use the knife. Like so. So you split the roots. This wasn't a very nice piece too. A lot of other people also use the spruce. The thing about the spruce is that you don't really break easily like jack pines do. A lot of people prefer to use the spruce when they make canoes or when they make their baskets or even moose calls. They're very sturdy. And so once you have this part done, you have to roll them up. Then you'll just roll them up like this with the things on there. It's better to roll them up. That way you know like how to grab it after once it's ready. And just kind of tie them up. Like so. That way they're not like spaghetti noodles inside a container, and it's that easy to kind of just grab them out of the water. Once you boil them for a while, I boiled mine for about almost an hour, then I took them out of the stove. I usually do everything out on the land, but the signal is not great out there to go live. So that's what I have for the roots. So once your roots are all prepared, they're going to look like so. So I was supposed to keep them wet. This is how it looks like. They look soft. A little soft. And they're not very dry. They're not going to like break off like that easy in that sense. But spruce are best, like I said. And once you have that, you'll have little pieces of the top part of the root. So you might want to like pull that off. So every root has this little like a layer, like the snake. So you might want to just clean that all off before you start using your roots.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to let you know 1906-630-1343. Yeah, we can, whenever you move or something, I don't know whose number that is, but if you can mute yourself, I'm having difficulty doing it on my end. If you can mute,
okay.
That would be wonderful.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm new to this.
We're glad you're here.
If I can find it. Let's see.
Okay.
So I'm just scraping some of the pieces off where I have my roots. Some areas need to be scraped off. You got to look at thoroughly at your roots to make sure you have those big, not looking things, because that'll be like a little hard to like go through your basket and you don't want to damage your baskets. So make sure it's like kind of like smooth all the way going in. Yeah. So that's how it looks like. Keep it in water all the time if you're doing your roots. You ever go out and the root gets in, make sure you keep it in water. I have mine here on the bottom. What I also have too is a bucket of water, which I use a little bit of very hot, warm water, which helps me bend certain baskets. That's exactly what we used during the teaching that I got my basket from. And the old lady that taught us this was Lina Nottaway. They've known her as Dr. Lina Nottaway. In our community, I thought that she was one of the best Birch bark teachers for baskets and all sorts of things. And she was a very good instructor. And then from then on, I kind of just learned a little bit by bit. And because it's been such a long time, I didn't make baskets at that time since 11. When I made baskets the past couple of years, it would be my mom or another knowledgeable friends of hers would teach me, remind me how to make it and what to do with it. So I'm not going to be using this big thing because it takes so long to cut it, and you have to be so careful without cutting your hand. So I got a nice piece of which probably everybody has, and you can do this along with me. I'm going to move this closer towards me, like this. And the Lord, because I want to show how you clean this side. This side is pretty good. It's also, but this is the part that's going to show. But this side here is going to be on the inside, so you have like some pieces of birch like this. That's going to be sticking out. So you want to clean that through. Again, you're going to be using a knife. I prefer just a little small knife like this. And then kind of peel off some of these things. Peel it all off. And then once you have all those big pieces off, then you can start scraping it with your knife. Like so. You just want to clean it very nicely so there's nothing on the inside of your basket that's going to
And while you're doing that, can you use a natural type of oil for the spruce roots also, instead of water?
Yeah, you could do that if you have enough oils for it. I just prefer water. You can use a little bit of bear grease to moisturize your roots. If you want to make something like a bundle basket, you want something you'll surround it all with your medicines. So as I go downwards, but don't mind my stuff here. I just kind of moved in, so my stuff are still in boxes. best way I can tell it's really clean is this. All these little pieces of area where the branches are from the outside, as long as that part is nicely scratched, so that all these particles are not going to settle inside your basket while you have things inside it. So the cleaner it is, the smoother it is everywhere, then you could say, yes, that's nice and clean. You don't want to over peel these things. You just kind of like pick off these little pieces that are sticking out, little easily. Take your time and just kind of scrape off there. All the spots. So my piece is just about ready. So I will teach how to make this basket, this round basket, because it's so much easier, especially if you're starting the first time. And then once you're ready to kind of like level up, take a bigger challenge using the very, very thick baskets, which are best for these kinds. Now you're going to have to take your time to make these ones, and also make sure a lot of these teachings how to frame this are done in person. It's so much better. You can put this leather to hold it up. So I have my cover somewhere, I just couldn't find it yesterday. So this one we're going to make very round, very easy. You can do it yourself at home. It shouldn't take too long. You could probably finish it all in a day. And when you're done, you can also start making your carvings. What you got to do when you make your carvings here, once they're done, is you want to wet the bark, maybe using a face cloth. Just kind of wet it out and all that. And once you have your design on there, you'll need like a pencil to kind of draw what you want on there. And then you can wet it up and start scratching it off with a piece of knife and just go like this. Other tools that people have are something they're very sharp. You're going to need something very sharp. It's along. So you can punch your holes after. Make sure you have your saw to punch the holes. I have like, this looks like a carving tool. And there's like, at the end is very pointy, so those ones work. What other people do too with their knives, they make mugus. Very thin knife like so. But you need somebody that knows how to curve the ends, because it's gonna look like this. Like a little loop, or at the end of a vine, it's gonna look like that. So you need somebody to help you make those things if you want a good one that you're gonna use to kind of cut your birch bark later. I just use a regular knife, a really small one that I can handle. I also have here pieces of cedar wood, which I'm going to use at the once I start shaping the basket. I just kind of like I just kind of get like a little piece like this, big long one, start chopping it in little lengths that I can use like this. And then from there, I'll just kind of like use my knife and just split it apart. It comes easy. And then once I have that, then I'll have this little piece. And at the end, I just kind of like make a little shape like a nail or a needle. Not too thin because you don't want it to break. so it has to be a little bit thick like this. You want to have a couple of those like that beside you, because you're going to put that, once you start shaping the basket in the wrong way or something, you use that as a temporary thing that's going to hold your two baskets that are going to be folded together, and you'll see that as I'm working on this thing. So I have a couple of them. I have a couple more pieces here if I need to make a really quick one. That's there. You could also use scissors if your birch bark basket is easy to cut with it. Most of the time when it's thick, you have to use that the knife to go through like this. Easy, easy, easy. Working with a knife has to be very, very. You have to be careful, cautious. Take your time. What my mother uses, because she's getting old, she uses these kind of cutters, and she just kind of goes down like this on the ground or somewhere on like a picnic table or something. That's how she's able to cut it very nicely. So you can use those kind of tools. And she also uses these ones because it's hard for her sometimes to kind of put pressure into making the holes on the birch bark with something like this. Very sharp at the end. So what she does is use the hole puncher. She's very smart, so she can work with those kind of things. Because my mother had like triple bypass surgery, so she can't put too much pressure here. And even though it's been a couple of years, she still has to like be very gentle in the things that she does to herself or what she gets involved with. So here I'm gonna start cutting the design of the birch bark like this. So I'm gonna follow that. I'm gonna follow my mother's pattern here because it's nice and it's nice and round. This is nice and round. I'm gonna look at the back to make sure I don't have holes on some areas. So if I have like, some holes right here, like I'm seeing it, I'm gonna kind of like avoid this area all through here because that's gonna crack open. So the way I see it over here, it looks really nice. This one's okay, that's okay. But this part right here, it's like I don't wanna use that part. So what I'm gonna do is look at this hole that's right here, and I'm gonna cut right across using the scissors, just above that area. And the bottom piece I'm gonna use for the bottom, and also the cover once we start shaping the first part basket. When I was 11 years old, it took me hours just to shape my basket, so the men had to help me, and that's how thick the baskets were. Not very easy. You don't want to just rip it apart once you cut it, because you'll have all these different lengths, and then you have to cut again, then your basket looks smaller and smaller. So you just want to cut through it with your scissors if you can, or your knife if you know how to really use the knife. So here's a small piece that I have. What we're going to do is try to look at maybe one square of that area that's going to be the bottom, and we're going to follow the pattern of the shaped basket to make the bottom part of the basket like this. So that's how it's going to look like. You just sew it right around like that. So I'm going to straighten out this side because it's very crooked over here. It's not in one. So I'm going to straighten it out. If you want to do the same, do the same thing. You have to have very strong hands to work with things like this. Very strong hands. But mind you, we had older ladies working working hard with their hands. Okay, looks good. And this part I'm going to cut off. This is not. There's no roll left over. Put that on the floor. It's going to be really messy, so it's nice to work on something on your porch or under a gazebo or in the teepee, the air fryer, which is nice. Always the best place in the wigwam. So now that I have my little piece right here, I'm going to measure it just to give you guys an idea. It's really up to you how big you want your pieces to look like, how big your basket, how big of a material you have. So this one is about 22 inches on the width, and the length is about 13 inches. So that's what I have to work on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around again, and I'm going to put this in the hot water just to kind of get it bending. And I don't want to put my feet too close because I might burn myself. But you can see this. And yeah. Here's my wrist. And here is my hot water. So you can invest in things like this, mystic bucket that you can just boil over the fire or whatever. These are very good for roots or first making, you know, like. So I have a couple of big pots of this. So I'm gonna. Can you see this? Okay. So I'm gonna gently put this in there like that on one side, a little bit. And you can feel it getting softened already just by holding it. See how easy it comes to fold. So you want to do the same thing on the other side. Bring it down. Well, it takes just a couple of seconds when you, especially if it's hot water. So here, it's so much easier to bend after that. So it's what I like about working with hot water. So now that I got that part covered, so it's going to look long, like a cylinder. If you don't want it too long, you can cut it shorter. So now you have your tool here. You gotta have your tools ready. I have mine right here, nice and I don't know what kind of tool it is, but I just thought it was pointing and I said, yeah, that's gonna do. But there's like a little hole needle on the bottom, so I'm thinking it must be used for fish netting or something like that. And so I'm going to place the two little twigs that I got prepared. I'm going to put them right beside me because now I'm going to start doing that, using it. So I'm going to leave about an inch of the measurements together like this. 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on the bottom, and you're going to put that together like that. Same thing on the bottom. If you can't maintain holding everything, what you can also do is use a clip. I use that also when I make mucklucks. The small ones, they work well, the clamps. So you can put one on one side. just to hold it together while you're doing everything. And then hold the other side like that. So it's holding it down for you with the other side. So mine's gonna look kind of long, but that's okay. Would be good for holding paintbrushes or scrunchies or I don't know, anything goes, really anything. So on top of here, I'm going to take one off and I'm going to start making a hole in here. Make sure you are right in the, here's the little frame that you're working with. Here's your imaginary square, like this. And you want to go right in the middle like this. And just make your hole in, going in. Go easy, not too hard, don't get rough with it. Know how to measure your strength, they say. Sometimes we have strength, physical strength, we don't even know and we break things. So I'm gonna just go in and out. Okay, so this little twig is gonna go right in there. Okay. You can see that. I'm just looking at this little screen over here. So that's that. And so you're going to want to do the same thing. Maybe if you want, you can use a pencil. And I'm going to look at how I did this one. So I started right over here, but you're going to have to go across over here from where this little line is. And just go 4 by 4 like that. All the way down 4 by 4. And we're going to crisscross after. So here I have one here. And I'm going to go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to start making my first 4 holes for now, just so you see that part.
Shan, when I'm looking at that, we have these. So Julia had given us Glover needles.
Okay.
And I can never say that.
Well, you can still use it if you want with the needle.
Okay.
Using sinew, you can use the needle. You're still going to have a way how to make the holes like this. I'm just showing you the way I make them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I use mine with this. That's just the way I know it.
Yeah.
People use this one, but we can start using this one at the top once we start making, you know, where it's going to go, where your roots are going to go around the whole thing. We'll use this one later. So if you're having, if you want to use your needle, you can use your needle. But once you use a hole puncher like that, the sinew is going to go in easy without the needle. So that's just like, it's really your comfort.
Okay. So I'm just looking for the easiest way to do it. I'm just kidding. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Shan.
So, I'm going to use the other side here. Start pulling in. I'm going to lose my hole. So I have 2 of them in here right now so far. 2 little pegs. So you can see that 1, 2. Just to hold it until I get to the bottom. Usually we make the holes as we go. That's always like some of the easy ways, I find. But here I want to make sure I have every hole in there. See, this part little splits over here already. So if that happens, you might just keep going anyway. What you can do to repair this is just put some kind of a glue after if you need, if that happens to you. Sometimes these things are going to split on you. Or you could just go a little bit on the bottom and just make another one. So as long as you have an even amount of calculating how much you're going to make holes, Like for this length over here, I'm gonna make 1, 2, 3, 4, which is nice enough, very nice enough. So I'm gonna keep working on this one. And back then, our people, in order to repair these baskets, whether if it's a canoe, if they needed to repair it, they would use the gum, spruce gum. Around springtime, you see a lot of those spruce gums starting to leak. So you get like a little jar and try to harness some of that. You don't want to cut down a tree just to get all the gums or anything. You just want to go at a time when the timing of the gum starts leaking, usually around May, June. But with climate change is happening, that kind of changes on how we look at our traditions. So in the Anishinaabe way, we have 6 seasons, and usually around what we call mid-spring, Minikumun, we have, it's usually around that time we get birch bark baskets, because when you go out into the land and you want to get birch bark baskets, if you don't want to cut down a tree and you just want like a couple of barks, what you do is you get your axe and you just kind of tap the tree like this, going all the way down. And usually you're going to hear this little nook sound, like, and then you'll see the birch bark split in two like this, like it's ready to just easy peel off. Sometimes it just comes off by itself when there's enough water in it. That's when you know it's ready to be harvested, is when it's watery and it's like coming out. If you go get baskets around April, which we used to do that around that time, but now things change, the seasons are changing. Climate is kind of like changing the way how we do things, so we have to adjust with those things as well. And so if you go too early, and if they don't want to come up, they're still sticking, it's not time. You always got to look at the timing. It's when it's watery that's best. I was lucky enough to find these yesterday. I didn't want to go get them too early because they might dry up on me, and I don't have like the place this year. What my family does when they want to keep these in good conditions, if you're not going to do things right away, and you know you're going to take like another day or two to prepare or something, what my family does is they put these in the lake, inside the lake, with some stones on there, and to keep them wet. That way you don't get dry and then they'll start forming all these old wiggly looking waste. And you always got to keep them out of the sun, because the sun is what's going to make them roll up into ways that's going to be harder to flatten them out. So as soon as you get them, get something heavy, get something to put the shade over it. Use a box or a board to kind of create that shade, or put them underneath a cabin if you have a cabin, or just in the basement. Make sure you have your weights on top the basket to keep them flat. It's important to keep them flat. Or keep them in the water, try in the water if you like, to put some stones under. That's also a good way to keep them like that for up to a week or so. So I'm going to keep going here. Well, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get my root. Okay, so I'm going to place you all here so you can see everything. So I have my first clean root. Not all my roots are clean, but I'm going to clean them as I go. We'll try to do this quickly. I don't know how much time I have. We have until what, 2 o'clock?
Yeah, so we're gonna go to, sorry, my phone. We're gonna go to 2 o'clock. We just have a couple questions here. So Missy asked, it's split on me, but I use too much pressure. Are there any recommendations on glue instead of gum?
You can use, one second. If you want to use crazy glue, I think that's fine, but you got to give it a really enough time for it to like dry out, you know. But like I said, if you're doing this right now and they kind of split on you the way that happened here, just make your holes on the bottom of that thing and then go back and fix this later on with a piece of glue or gum. That's what I think. A lot of people, I use the tacky glue for certain things because it works very well. But there's the other kind of glue that you can get at Giant Tigers, not Giant Tigers, Canadian Tigers. And it's kind of like gold and all that. That works for all kinds of things. And you could also use wood glue, which is probably the best thing for this one because it's wood, made of wood. So that's what I do. I have this big long one, which I hope I have enough for everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going through this thing so that you see how I do it. Dividing it in half, I have a very long one. So that should be enough to cover this whole side over here as we go. So I'm going to start at the top here.
Okay, and while you're doing that, we have a question from Dawn. She's just wondering if all 4 holes are not through both layers, only the 2 right side holes through both layers?
Yeah, just the 2 right sides are going through both layers, but the other side is one layer. So you're going to take your sinew or you're going to take your root, just divide that in half. If it's like kind of flat on there, I like to like cut it in horizontal way or just diagonally, I mean. Do the same thing for the other side because that'll be your, like I'm working with roots, so you guys have sinew, so it's different. So you're going to go through the top one over here, start in the inside, and try to get your root to come out. Sometimes if I don't have, where do you go? I'm going to get something for a second. So I have this other tool just to help me with my root, to work my root. It's like one of those little things that looks like, I don't even know how it names it, but I just know how to use it sometimes. So this thing I use, let's say when I am working with Glover needles and hide, sometimes it's hard to pull the Glover needles from hide. And then these work with needles and you just pull on it. So you can get it through the material. And I'm going to use this as a way to pull the roots as well. So yeah, I think we're going to go on the inside with this, it's remembered. So I'm going to try to pull it out. Okay, so I got one side in. I'm going to get the other side in from the outside, like this. So just kind of get it in there. And pull it in. Pull the other side in too. Try to make sure you get it, try to make sure you're measuring your two equal lengths over here, like your thread. Make sure it's all like equal lengths, that's all. And you want to make sure you want to pull the thing so that you have enough sinew, or you have enough roots. When you pull it, sometimes you want to hold your finger like this. Hold it together like this so it doesn't break. So I'm almost there, you know. So you want to hold this thing at if you're using roots, I'm just showing you how, because I'm using roots. You want to hold it up here so that it doesn't cut, it doesn't like look like from the bottom. Because the top one always looks nice to show, demonstrate on here. So the first part is there. You can see that. So now all my two strings, all my roots are on this side, like so. So now I'm going to take one side and crisscross on the bottom this way. And just come in the other side. It doesn't matter if you start on either side. It's still going to look all crisscrossy kind of thing. Go through my hole here again. Sometimes I move around my thing like this easily though, so you kind of widen the hole. You want to do that for your roots to pass through easily, especially on the other side. It's a little bit harder. And you want to maintain pressure on the second hole because that's how you're going to get your roots inside for it to come up. If that doesn't work, then you go on the inside and make your hole from there, coming from this side, like so. You just move that around. And then the root. I can see my root on the first layer. So you're going to try to get this going in your second layer. If you have one of those anxiety issues, just take your time. You can take up to a month. It's not a race. It's not a race to finish your basket. It's really about knowing what you're capable of, what you can be capable of. Anybody can make baskets, really. Continue to get my in there.
Shannon, can you tilt your laptop down just so we can see a little bit better? Awesome, thank you.
Just trying to get the other one in there. That's the hard part. Should take all day just to do this, couple of hours if I have to. But here I don't have that time, so. A little bit bigger so that my senior can pass easily. That's just right here. That took a while. And now the next one, same thing. This one should be easier because it's on only one side. Like so. This. I'm trying to push in the root, but also pull it at the same time. Enough so I can just grab it like this. Something easier. If you break it apart, and just make a little new one again. There we go.
This is definitely the longest part, eh, Shan?
It is the longest part.
Got any good stories?
I do. A lot of stories. Like I'm concentrating on this one, I'm trying to think of a story.
That's hilarious. My boys are participating in the workshop too. And Matt and Alex, can you show them what you have? You probably have to unmute just so that we can see you on the speaker.
Here.
Blah, 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 blah.
Perfect.
Hey, awesome.
And definitely with the help of mom. Nope.
All on our own.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna go towards, I'm gonna work my way down. Pull it out.
Missy said she wants to hear the Thunderbird story if you know it and how Birch got their eyes.
The Birch got, I remember hearing that story a long time ago from my grandmother. My mom carries that story. A lot of our elders carry that story. So I prefer to hear it from them. Okay, so I'm going to gently pull on this. Now I have my first little line going across, like an X. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the other one. I'm not trying to change subjects here, but I'm only doing this one. Just go like that. You can widen your hole. Again, this is the ripped area that I have. What was your question a while ago, Julia? Joey, did you say something about a skunk?
Not me.
I really thought I was gonna get sprayed last night.
Oh, really?
After I moved this place, I said, okay, this place looks like somewhere a skunk would likely show up on your porch. So every night, like, I was thinking, like, it could be here, it could be there, and I noticed that there's a passage on the other side. It could just easily come in there, and that was made for the mailman to come by, and we just have to go all the way around my porch. It's so big. And last night I'm sitting out there having my tea, and I like to do that. And the skunk was out there. I didn't know it was a skunk. I thought it was a cat, because I've been seeing a lot of cats in the area. And then I go, shh. So that's how I chase my cats away. And they usually just ran off hearing that. But they kept making that noise. And I was like, it was so close by behind me, like 5 feet away, 6 feet. And I looked behind, there's a skunk sitting out there, going through this garbage that I just put there, and I thought it was going to get sprayed. It was close. But my mom's like, oh, well, maybe it's another teaching coming at you. Something you're going to learn about skunk, because they carry a lot of powerful medicine, and especially at a time where we're facing COVID. We have to turn to our traditional medicine than to rely on the Western things. So just using the skunk medicine helps with the nasal, all the congestions that could be used just a little bit just to help clear somebody. My family are here, so if you hear them talking, they don't know I'm live. So I'm just going to crisscross over here again, go to the other side. It gets harder once I'm trying to go deeper in the middle. Hope this doesn't take me too long.
Oh, yeah, I see your mom in the back. Hi, Liza.
Mom, makunin na asuka din nasmako was ayam adi basta teko di dam maswani kamas na din. Adi gos minna miswani disna winna kasmo. Ganne gat suka din. Huh? She was telling me in the language about the birch trees, how they got their markings, what was shared with her at that time. She says before the Anishinaabe were created or existed, they only had the trees and the animals. That's part of the creation story too. And at that time, the trees spoke and the animals spoke. So they were not kind of like getting along. I guess all these animals were trying to be able to say, well, this is my kind of tree, this is that tree, and that thing, and they couldn't be able to tell the difference of what kind of tree what was. So the way she kind of explained it was like when they went through all the trees to have different kind of roots and stuff. So they hit the birch bark, the birch tree, and that's how it had those little lines so they could be able to tell. So all these animals, they had their jobs to kind of set up a way of life for us to know certain things like the birch tree, how to tell difference between like a golden birch and a white birch. How do you be able to tell the difference between those two? Same thing with all these other pine trees. There's like 6, 7, 8 pine trees. How are you able to tell the difference? And so they designed things in a way back then to be able to tell them apart. And a lot of our words in Anishinaabe is like very descriptive. So when you hear it in the language, it's like it's very descriptive. My mom said that's what they did with the birches. They was hit with pine going straight across. It's like, no, this one is this, that's what she knows a little bit about that. The way elders talk, you have to like, you really want to learn from them. You really have to sit down and be patient to listen to them as they speak and share. I spent a lot of years doing that. I went through days and days sitting around our council fires just to listen to them speak of what they know on the knowledge of stuff. So that's the knowledge keepers spend a lot of time listening, a lot of time to understand how things work so they can be able to pass it on. I'm at a time where I'm learning to pass things on. I was very shy at first, didn't want to talk to people. I don't like videos. I still don't like videos, but this feels more like comfortable, like I could just do things from my own home, and I'm learning to speak more, learning to talk to more people, that kind of thing. So it's to help carry on this thing at a time where things seems to be like, like a lot of trees are getting cut. We want to show them that we use the trees for our culture. The trees give us culture, so it's so important to stand up for them. Make sure to create sanctuaries for them, so that we have to think about generations in the front, in the future, to be able to save culture for them too, to know it. Without culture, then we can't say that this is our territory, that kind of thing. Like, we're not the guardians. We have to be guardians to take care of our culture. So this is taking a little bit of time. There was this song I heard on YouTube the other day, and I kind of learned to practice it. We're going to be having our culture camps very, very soon. We haven't done that for a while. So this song goes like, it's a Cree song, and I managed to kind of put Anishinaabe and Marin on there. And the song like, stand up for your trees. Trees brings you culture. And then there is more that the trees have to offer for us to know, for us to see, for us to learn. And she said that it brings you, it teaches you the love coming from the creator, and the creator's way of love is all I'm going to pursue. So it sounds very, very nice. I think that should be sung more in our communities so that, we preserve our trees, take care of our trees. It also says too on the song that the trees has water and the trees has earth, which is very, very, very true and very nice to keep, and that's what makes it so sacred. So they do a lot of what they call not what do you call it, not a real activist, like where you're out there just protesting and doing these things. I'm more like advocate for the trees, land trees. This is another part of what I do, because if I'm going to do anything with the land, that means knowing my culture, knowing my language, then I'll always look at land and language. Anything that comes within those will help protect or advocate and also help pass on to our youths over here. I find that this time of the era, our parents are now the new elders, and all the older ones have passed on, and that's scary. That's scary, like seeing that happen, and then that puts a lot of pressure on women like us to do something about it, and we want to do so much things. Sometimes there's lack of money. Our elders often tell us you don't need money to pass on language or culture, but I understand that. But nowadays, because we've been so conditioned under a system that we need transportation to go places nowadays, so back then they used to do so much. They're able to do so much without money back then. That's how independent-minded our ancestors were. So I appreciate all those things I've learned from our elders. I try to work independently as much as I can. I never think of trying to get paid for things, especially when we first started it off, because the work was also part of me. I saw it as going to university, going to school, learning. That's how I saw it. So a lot of things I did with that had to be volunteer, and that was my university. Was with the elders, living out the territory, learning our governance, everything. So it was a big sacrifice from stepping away from the Western world. Right now, my kids still go to school. I graduated high school, luckily. I did. In Barrier Lake, we were about 16 students at grades 7 and 8. And I graduated high school and then class. So, and then we had so many smart people in that class. There's something that I encourage. So I'm at my second part over here. I'm just going to check the time. Okay, so this is what I have so far. Because I'm doing it with roots, it's going to take me a little bit more time over here, especially with the roots. So that's why you got to take your time. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to push this on my own stem, and I'm going to start doing the on this side here, because I have a clamp here, so I'm good. I'm good. It's there. So I'm going to start working on this part over here, just so you guys understand how to make it as the way I shown over here. It's going to be easy. It'll be like sewing something together. It's that simple. But I also want to be able to have a chance to show you how to make this, at least to put it together. And again, it's just like going in here, make your hole, come all the way out, come all the way in on this side, and then you go around. You're just going around this thing and that. Make sure you align yourself. You look at it as you go. You take your time making it, and that's how we make our covers. But just to show you how to do everything. Okay, so I have this one. So I'm going to put this down here. I am going to make a circle. What's up? Okay. Just that you need. And you start cutting that. You make your circle. I'm glad I was able to find one bark out of everything that I have to be able to make this one today. Sorry. Good thing I have one of these stuff touch scissors, works with things like that. Just I'm gonna finish making my circle here. I'm going to trim it around a little bit because it's going to go on the inside, so it's not going to be perfectly like shaped like that. You want it to fit here inside, so you're going to have to trim this around a little bit to fit it on the inside.
While you're doing that, Shannon, we had someone ask if on the inside, when you're doing the roots down the edge, if you're also crisscrossing on the inside as well.
On this piece here,
Yeah.
what you're going to be doing is you go crisscross on this piece and this one.
Okay.
So I'm just going to show you a little bit on that side too, how that's going to look like. I'm trying to get the measurements of this so that it sticks. So on this side, it needs to be cut a little bit. Here. This side. So remember, this part has to go on the inside. So you're going to try to align your thing like this. So what you can do here, just to save time, I'm not going to use the roots right now because I want you to be able to see what you're doing with your seam. I'm going to use this other seam which I have for backup. So I said it doesn't take 2 hours to make a basket online. But just to show you how to use it, your seam, I'm going to use this one. Okay. Get your hole. Just go like this. Or you can make your hole before too. Like this. And if you have a tree, you can use that too. And just and it gets easier. One. See how easy that is? That's why my mom uses it. She's so smart. Two. Just make it like not too far apart, but just enough. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to go around making that at equal distances. I have a lot of things in there. You also use this for rawhide. You make belts or jewelry. You can even make, what do you call that, a family shield to protect yourself using this. It's very cool. Protects you and your family. Okay, so I got all my holes like this, all the way around. So when you look at this one over here, you just make your hole right on this side in the middle from here. So I should count how many holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you make 15 going all the way around. I'm going to use this one going here. Make sure it's a little bit higher up because you have to leave space for your thing to sit, and it has to be kind of like this. Oh, look at my mother. That's really nice. You have to have like just a little bit of space from here to there, like half an inch away. So I have half an inch. 1. So this is going faster. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's better to always make the holes as you go. That's how I usually make it, but here it's teach you how to make the bottom part. It's just basically in and out. It's pretty much 14, 15. My mom is smart. Okay, so if you're working with this, you might want to make a knot maybe in here, like so. You have your birch bark. Okay, so when you go in here like this, with your sinew, you make a really good big knot so it holds it like this. Okay. Same thing with birch bark, not birch bark, the root, you make a little a knot as well. I'm just looking for a little piece of it. I might be able to use. Okay. So let's say I'm using this one. I love working with this, but I have to like take my time making sure it so it can come out nice. So again, Nice. And just scrape that off. Sometimes it peels off when you just pull on it. Your fingers or your nails. I use my nails a lot, so I know the kind of person that goes out to do my nails that will just break it. It never lasts as long. It would get dirty fast. So I'm always doing these kind of things around my house, and so if that was work, because I have the holes there, then I can use this one. So this, make a little hole like this. Okay, so you make a little knot. No, this is so much easier because you just make the knots like that. I'm just going to cut a little bit here to show you what I'll be doing. So this is going to be on the inside. So my knot is going to go in like so. And the peelings I didn't do is coming off. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like on your bottom. You're going to have a big knot. So if you're using one of these hole punchers, make sure, and you're using sinew, make sure you've adjusted it to the smaller one, so the smallest one, so your knot can stay in. And if you have your needle and you're having a hole puncher and then the holes are too big, you could just use a needle, go through a piece of leather. You can just go through a piece of leather with your needle, like this. Cut a little piece of thing. Make it square, just enough where you're, okay. Go through your needle with your sinew, go through it like this, so that your knot can stay on this little piece of leather. So it's going to sit like this with your knot on top with your sinew because your holes are too big like this. So that's an idea that you can do because we always figured out everything what to do. Okay. So I'm just going to place all my fingers here again. So I'm going to go in over here. I'm going to pull it out. We'll use this basket later. So with your sinew, you just go in and out, trying to sew it together, basically. You're sewing it together. Pull it up. Very using sinew would be very easy. A lot of my materials are sewing boxes, so it's doing my best as I can. And then I'm going to in here on this side. Make sure you have your holes. So you're going to come out here. Okay, see that? Now you're making your bottom. Like so. It's kind of stubborn sometimes, but it's going to catch on now. Oops, that's when you break it. Always happens. But anyway, you understand that's how you going to make your things with your sinew. Roots, use your spruces. So it's the best thing. So just to show you with this again, I don't want to cut too much time here. You're just going in and out, in and out. I'll show you with this one. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go in here a little bit on this one. And I'm gonna leave some space over here so I can make mine out on the inside later. That's another way you could do that. Okay, this way. And actually, like that. And so on this side, I'm gonna pull it. So if you're using your needle, it's just so much easier to find, you know, where you're gonna put your, carry out your sinew. Try that the first time because the thing keeps moving around. All right, once you go through each hole, come out here, there, come out here, there, all over. It starts getting firm here, all over. And it's going to come out looking exactly like this. And it holds it together. So be patient on while you're doing that, the bottom part. So the timing again. 10 minutes. We're going to quickly show you how to go through the top part, how to go about it. Here is a piece of birch bark here I have, and I'm going to measure this and just go around like that. So you get the basic understanding. Once you have that understanding, okay, I figured this out, I'm going to do this on my own time. And this idea about COVID is just to keep yourself busy all the time. And you can use a piece of birch bark to go all the way around to hold your, so that's something that's going to hold your basket around firmly, but also you're going to go around with your root, or you can use your sinew. So you just need a little big long rectangular piece like this. You can use this basket, you can use another root to go around, you can use a piece of stick, or one of these ones, the big root that pulled up, which makes it look really nice, very genuine nice. Or you can use this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to put that right around like this on top, like this. You can use your clamps again to yeah, just to hold it together like so. Okay, get a couple of them. Put it all the way around. So once you start making this side, if you want to do it like this one, like my mother does, what you're going to do is double loop here. So you're going to make your holes here again, just on the bottom part, the first layer. You just make your holes going all the way around like that. And then you're going to use your root. You make a knot like I did the other one. Make a knot, then you just go right around like this. Over this one, like that. Go in, come out this way, go in, come out this way. It's like sewing, very easy. You're sewing. So now you're gonna have this one. It looks like this if you're just like doing the sewing work. But the way my mother does this is she does it double thing, which would be so much better to show in person. And not thinking about the time because it's like 1:52. So the way I did it over here, just to explain again all over again, I always have to go back and wet the bark, or just get a face cloth to make sure you wet this area while you're making your holes, so that when it's dry, you make your holes using these things, they can like break. And sometimes too, if you put all your things too close to it, this thing could just completely fall off if you're like making too much holes. Mine somehow seems to be still in place, and they're all close by together like this. I took my time making these holes, and I used a piece of cedar that was already shaped, and it was bent with hot water. This is what I used at the time here. My mother here used this one. So her technique for this one is just like to make a knot, start up the inside, come out over here, go in on the other side, go back in again on the same hole, like that. So it looks like two strings are like this. So you come out of here, you go on the next hole, but you come back in on the same hole again. Then you go back on the next hole, you come back in on the same hole. So there's two knots that she goes in the same hole for each. And it comes out nice looking like that. Very, very, very pretty. I like this style very, very much. This one, I just used a little piece of root going around. So I was just trying things, before I never sold or do anything. So I still have it with me. It's very in good condition. I keep my mom for the teachings too, that she does. She still makes them, still makes these baskets. And I want to get to the cover again to remind you how to make those things. Again, you're going to use this one. Okay. Say what's around here, for example. Just for example, you're going to make a straight, rectangular looking shape, which looks really nice. Actually, this one's not completely fixed, but just to give you an idea of what you can do so you can finish it at home. This would be a little bit too thin, so you want to make it a little bit thicker, because this is what's going to hold your basket. Still in good shape. If you have a cover over the years, your cover is going to keep it at that same shape. But sometimes the basket's kind of getting if you put them in the sun or it gets a little bit wet from something. So you have your little piece here, which you're going to make your cover with. What that is. So when you make your cover, your thing, you'll have to make two pieces, two round pieces. That's going to be bigger than this. So this is what I have for the bottom. This is what I cut out. So you're going to make something a little bit more bigger, 1 inch bigger than that one. Make two round ones for your covers. The cover has to be very sturdy. Over here, I only made one because it was a thick bark. Thin bark, then make sure you have to. This I made with one because it's already sturdy enough. So once you have that piece there, I'll just quickly cut this. I can do quick enough. Just so far. Pretend this is your going to be your cover. This part over here. So this is going to be the outside. This is going to be the inside of your cover, and this too. So make sure this one is going to show. It's going to be the part that goes in like this. This one is all going to be on the inside part. Okay. So you can make. You can start putting this together like that. That's going to fit your cover. You're going to measure it as you go. I cannot give you meters or anything like that, or centimeters or inches. How are you going to make it? I cannot make kits like that. I could make kits like that, but they take a lot of time to measure. You have to make a whole basket to come up with the proper measures of one thing and how much pieces. So it really depends on what you have. You can just make it on your own. That's really good about calculations in your math, traditional math. So you're going to take your pencil, and then you're going to make, it's going to start looking like the cover. I don't know if you can see that well. There. So you're going to start tracing a line like that right around, or get a darker pencil if you want. Trace a line around there. Okay, that's going to be my cover. So you're going to get one of these, or a hole puncher, and just start punching your holes just a little bit off from where that line is. All the way around, like that. And then once you go around that line, so this thing is together, you can get a small little, this one like this, but you're going to hold it together so you don't lose your mark. That's what clamps are really good for. And then now you're ready to go on the inside. So you're gonna look at it from like this angle when you're looking downwards. Okay. So now here's one hole puncher. Here's one hole, and there's another one. So I'm just gonna make one right in the middle like this. Look at the other one. Make the one right in the middle of that one. So you're making a hole that's gonna be here, this area. Then you make a hole here in the middle. Moving to the bottom again, another hole, so another hole here. So it's like in sync like this. Is that understood? Can you understand that one? Okay. So once you start doing that, then you're going to take your root, or you're going to take your sinewy, and then start off over here, like I did here. I don't know where I started, but it's here somewhere. Okay. So what I did here was like I had a big long root coming out this way. You can make a little knot and pull it outwards here, and then once you have your knot on this side, on this part over here, then you're gonna go out. You're gonna go outwards. Then you're gonna go onto this one, in that hole. Then you're gonna go on the inside again. So you just kind of sewing it together, but make sure this thing stands. So that's how you're going to make your covers. If all this goes over, we could probably take a couple of days to kind of make the basket in person, which is always the best way. It is not use the printers to make anything, but we're doing all our best to kind of keep culture going in a way there's no boredom or anything. And once you make your first basket and all that, maybe you might get an opportunity to meet another elder that can teach you this, this kind of frame. Because this one needs like a special cutting. It's really nice. Julia, it's now 2:03. Do you have any questions right now?
It's up to you if you're okay with continuing until you finish, or if this is a good place to end. That's more than okay. I'm sure that our youth can figure out the ending based on what you've described, including the top as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Go through everybody to see what kind of questions they have, if they want me to continue.
but maybe we can have some conversation in the chat about what you guys are going to be using your baskets for. I know we've had a couple people talk about going berry picking with it. I believe someone has talked about going fishing, using the basket to hold their fish. I'm not sure if anyone has any other ideas on what they would use their basket for. So maybe that's something that we can take to the chat.
And I'm not sure that Shan can see the chat, but it says here, Letitia Gijagate. I don't know if you remember her from the MO Aswaswan school. She's Troy Jerome's wife.
Oh, really? Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah. She's interested in the design for the other basket also, so if you can send that to her.
I can send you that. If anybody wants to have the design for this one, what I could do is put it on paper and then take a picture of that, how that looks like. Maybe I can do a little picture of the process of how you put it together, then take a picture, and then the rest you could just kind of like figure out how to do the sewing. It's a lot like sewing with knots. That's really all it is. Just the top part, if you want to make them tighter, go for it. But just be careful on how close you make your holes. That's all. I prefer this one.
That would be awesome, Shannon.
Okay.
Everyone's blowing up saying how great that would be.
Good. Okay, so they can message me on Facebook Messenger, because I find Messenger so much easier to give these pictures. I can work on them after all this is done, so I can get that information out to all you guys as soon as possible.
Okay. Maybe you could send it to me and I could create a document and put it all together and we can put that in the group.
So
That make it easier?
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Just send it my way and I'll get that going.
Okay.
But we do have some people talking about how they're going to use their baskets, which is super exciting. We have Anne and Jan who are going to use it to gather medicinal plants. Is that something that you've done in the past as well, Shannon?
Yep. Well, my mom always puts these medicines at home, all kinds of medicines, from water medicines to land medicines, like, and it's good to put them all in containers like this, because it keeps that, without using plastics and all that, and everything's like sorted out, and you're just looking like a traditional follower. It's nice to have so much different baskets for a lot of different things. They make great gifts for elders. You want to thank an elder, give them a basket. Make time to make a basket. Give them quotes or anything. Some people back then, the reason why we used baskets back then was to pick our medicines, to pick blueberries. We also make food baskets for our culture anyway. We've always made the two kind of baskets to feed the good and bad spirit, and this is what protects our people from all these different energies that we face throughout the year. So we have seasonal ways of how to do our feast together as family. In one basket, they would have, like, before you eat, you put a little bit of food in there, and after you eat, the leftovers goes on the other basket. That's for the bad spirit and the good spirit, and then you put them in different places with your medicine. And we always had this because we hang them on a tree like that. We didn't have shelves or anything. We had little trees here and there, and that's how we did our offerings. When we put them, hang them on a tree, the like Sabe or spirit of the land would know, like, oh, it's an offering from the Anishinaabe. They're taking care of what needs to be done. They're feeding me. They're thinking of me. That kind of thing. So you go out to the land, and every day the women had to go out to the territory to harvest things that they need, medicine, if some of their family members are sick, because we all live together. So We always had to make sure we had certain things, roots, medicinal roots. You know, these are all the kind of stuff we put in our basket. When we traveled, well, we also put our bundles in there too. So we had our baskets was the way we made. It's how we had our own way of eating, and we didn't have like pots and pans, that kind of thing. So some of the elders I see today, like Gracie Rat, Tina Nottaway, that lives near where I live. She also makes baskets. Her grandmother was the one that taught us how. So she also makes these bowls, which is pretty neat, really really neat. You take a big circle like this, and then you just kind of make lines, cut lines like this, from how I observed the way they make it, and then you put them all up, and then you just go sew it out like this, sew it like this from where the lines are cut, and then it's gonna start shaping into a bowl. And so again, you gotta use a piece of root at the end like this to hold it together, and then you just go right around and you have your bowl. There's your blueberry bowl. There's your food and gathering bowl. You know, it could be used for all kinds of stuff. And the most interesting thing that my mom was telling me before was like, how did we carry water back then? We didn't have pails and buckets or all these things that we use today. She said that what they used back then was for our side here, we don't have buffalo, so we have the moose. So every time we had the moose or the deer, the tea bag, they clean it up very, very good. They use a little bit of sand to kind of clean it up because sand has a way of cleaning things too. Sand works on its own to clean anything that you put into it. It just observes it and everything just goes away. And so you use a little bit of sand to kind of clean all that area up. And was, then you start shaping it in a way like and twigs and things like that. And then we have our little pails using it as our water, first way of how we carried water. That's some of the interesting to learn and still learning.
Just one last question before we let everybody go. Anita would like to see the lid again, just for a quick review. And Natasha's asking, how do you clean the baskets after? Just wiping them inside with water?
On the inside, you don't really need to clean it very much. You just need to blow particles out of there. Or you can use a dry rag just to kind of go through it like that. Because if you don't use it for food, then you don't have to clean it so much, you know. If you're going to use it for food, you'll need some water to kind of clean it up, but make sure it's a little kind of like cold water and go through it slowly because you don't want your basket to start deforming because you use water on the inside. That's the chances are that happens, like they come out loopy and all that if you keep too much water in it. So you want it to keep it dry after your roots have dried up or after your birch bark has dried up from shaping it to like this. You're going to use a lot of water to kind of bend and shape it. Same thing. The covers, you want to keep it dry all the time. It can be out in the sun once it's all sewn together because it's already sewn together in a way to keep it shaped like this. Well, this was out in the sun a few times before, but it never lost its shape because it's already sewn together and I used a strong thick looking barks, so that's sturdy. So again, you're going to use your thing, put it together, make sure they're about an inch on this side, an inch on that side, where you're going to join it together. Yes, this way. And then you'll start your knot on maybe on this side of the could be anywhere. It could be on this flat part, or it could be on the circle shape. Then you're just gonna go pull it out here and go through the first hole, come out over here, then you go through the second hole. And every time you're making these things over here, this is where the circle part of the cover is being aligned together. So this is what's holding your cover together. But also on this side over here. You see how that looks like. You're just going through like this in a round circle. Like sewing. It's really like sewing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Shannon, for sharing all of your knowledge with us. We really do appreciate it. And I'm seeing in the chat that everyone is super grateful. There's lots of chimigwetches to you. So thank you so much. And this kind of concludes our first session. So thank you to all of our participants who came out to listen to Shannon talk about birch bark baskets, and to our participants who attempted the birch bark basket. I'm seeing some in the videos right now. Kathy, that looks amazing. I'm blown away. It's awesome. So next steps, if you're interested in showing off your wonderful birch bark basket, feel free to post that to our Facebook group. I'm going to adjust the settings so everyone can post. So that'll be a great way for us to talk about our baskets and to show them actually being used. But yeah, so I'll let you guys go. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you back here next Friday at noon, where we will be talking about blueberry picking and some berry teachings. All right. Bye, everybody.